2 years mocking my husband for working as a landscaper. Then she started dating a man whose fortune was built with the exact same tools. My husband, Emiliano, runs his own landscaping crew, up before dawn 6 days a week, hands permanently rough from it, and genuinely the warmest person who's ever walked into a family holiday. The first time he met my aunt, he noticed her garden beds were struggling and spent 20 minutes explaining what was wrong with the soil, free of charge because that's just who he is. She looked at his work boots by the door and said, "Careful, don't track the yard in here." That was the opening line. It never really let up after that. My aunt Colette runs a boutique interior design firm and treats her client roster like a title. To her, Emiliano cutting grass for a living meant he didn't belong at family gatherings, let alone married into the family. She'd introduce him to her friends as my niece's yard guy and laugh like it was clever. At Christmas, she asked him, in front of everyone, if he ever planned on doing something with actual growth potential. Emiliano would just smile, help clear plates, and later in the car tell me to let it go. That fighting my aunt would only ruin every holiday. That he didn't need her approval to know what he built. He's a better person than I am. I wanted to scream. My mother would murmur, "Colette, enough," and Colette would say she was just being real. The reality checks continued for 2 years. Then last winter, Colette started seeing someone, and it consumed every conversation. His name was Thaddeus. They'd met at a design expo, and according to her, he was finally someone in her tier, an outdoor living contractor with a portfolio of luxury estate properties. She showed us his project photos at a family dinner like she was closing a deal. "This," she said, "is what real vision looks like." She looked directly at Emiliano when she said it. Here's what Colette didn't know, and what I found out completely by accident. Emiliano came home from a job one Friday looking strange. One of his longtime clients, a wealthy woman with a sprawling property he'd maintained for 4 years, the one who tipped generously and remembered his kids' names, mentioned she'd started seeing a contractor named Thaddeus and pulled up a photo to ask if Emiliano knew him. It was Thaddeus, standing proudly in front of a stone patio Emiliano had personally poured the base for 2 summers earlier, back when Thaddeus was still subcontracting labor for other companies. My aunt's dream visionary had built his entire reputation on land Emiliano had prepped with his own hands. We sat with that information like it might go off, because it got better. Emiliano knew things, not gossip. Emiliano doesn't gossip, but one detail Thaddeus himself had told him proudly, more than once, over the years. Thaddeus hadn't inherited his design empire or gone to school for it. He'd spent over a decade mowing lawns and hauling mulch before saving enough to buy his first truck and start bidding on bigger jobs himself. It was the story he told every new hire, framed photo of that first beat-up truck hanging in his office. My aunt, who'd spent 2 years treating my husband like hired help, was dating a man whose entire empire started in the exact same boots. Emiliano, being Emiliano, felt bad about it. "Should we say something?" he asked. "Say what?" I told him. "That the visionary she's showing off is exactly the kind of person she's been insulting at dinner for years. She was going to find out the way she deserved to, on her own, in front of everyone." It took about a month. Colette brought Thaddeus to a family dinner to show him off. I wish I'd recorded the moment Thaddeus walked in, saw Emiliano's company polo hanging by the door, and lit up. "Wait, you're with Reyes Landscaping? I poured concrete for that company for 2 years before I ever had my own crew." Full handshake, then to the room, grinning. "Slept in my truck more nights than I can count building this from nothing." Colette, did I never tell you that story? It's basically the whole reason I have anything at all. The silence that followed had weight. Colette's face cycled through every shade it owned. My mother suddenly needed something from the kitchen, so she could laugh where nobody could see. My father didn't bother pretending he needed anything. Thaddeus, sharp enough to read a room fast, asked Emiliano the right questions over dinner, and Emiliano answered plainly and kindly because, again, better than most of us. Thaddeus didn't end things on the spot. He did something slower. He stayed and spent 2 hours trading job stories with Emiliano, while Colette pushed food around her plate, saying almost nothing. They're still together somehow. Thaddeus's one condition was a real apology to Emiliano, delivered at the table in front of everyone. She gave it. Emiliano shook his hand, then told him if he's